Welcome to the Awkward Dadcast. I am your host and resident awkward dad, John. This is episode 6. Thanks for joining me. It's been a while. It's been too long since the Awkward Dadcast has been on, has been recorded, has been a thing. So I am happy to be back at it. Still awkward over here. Still a dad. I'm even more of a dad than I was last time. We'll talk about that, but I'm more excited. Well, gosh, am I more excited to talk about this? That sounds bad. I'm excited tonight to talk about, I have a special guest. That special guest is a good friend of mine. He's also a great dad, Brian Maines. So I'm going to bring Brian on right now. Except I don't know how to do that. Brian, what's up, buddy?
What's up, man?
How you doing, man? Hey, I'm gonna try to get both of us on screen now.
That'll be better.
Just so we're not. I mean, wow. You know what, dude? It is the Awkward Dadcast, so there's got to be some awkward element to it, technically like this. So there you go.
Yes.
Yeah. What's going on, man?
Man, not much. Just hanging out in my man cave, which doubles as my bedroom.
Oh, love it, dude.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I got some fun little things in the back. I thought that would be a cool little display.
I'm seeing it. Yeah, it's awesome.
And man, this is my first ever podcast. You know, I basically feel like we're at the level of Joe Rogan right now.
Completely. Well, that was the plan, Brian. That was the plan, and we have achieved.
I figured.
We've achieved that.
Yep. I figured.
Well, that was great. Since we've achieved that, I guess. Hey, man, good talking to you. We're done, right?
Well, see you later.
What? Oh man, so it's so good to have a guest. I mean, I have done this, by myself for a few episodes, and it's pretty lonely, Brian. It's pretty lonely, and I thought you'd make a great guest. So glad to have you on, man. Glad to have you on. Let's talk a little bit about who you are. So you're a friend of mine. Well, your name is Brian Maines. You're from Lubbock, Texas, correct?
That is correct.
I met you in Lubbock, Texas. I don't know how we met. Do you remember how we met?
Yes, I do, actually.
Please do tell.
I vividly remember getting a phone call when I was at my, I used to work in the food business, and I got a phone call at my office, and it was your wife, Lainey, asking if I could fill in for drums for Pearl Merchant for a Paradigm here in Lubbock. And I said yes, because that was like a dream of mine to be able to play at Paradigm. And so nice. I joined you guys and started filling in sporadically. And but that was when we met. It was 2006. 2006. Okay. Wow. 2006. Yeah. I'm glad you have a good memory of that, because my memory is just hazy about a lot of things. So Pearl Merchant, I haven't talked about Pearl Merchant here on the Awkward Dadcast. So I was in a band for, I don't know how many years. 10-ish years. Something like that, almost 10 years. And my wife was the lead singer. She started the band, and we led worship. We did church events, we did youth events, we did all kinds of things. And we moved to Lubbock in 2005 to lead worship at this. It was kind of like a dream for us too, Brian, because it was a big college midweek Bible study called Paradigm. And we were like, man, this is it, dude. This is what we need to be doing. So went out there. Eventually, the next year, met you, and yeah, man, brought you on board. Great drummer, great singer, great friend. So thanks, buddy.
Great podcast guest.
Hey.
So yeah, the Awkward Dadcast, Brian, I've talked to you a little bit about what the Awkward Dadcast is about. But really, whatever kind of little nuance it's about encouraging dads. Okay. And it's about, encouraging dads in all kinds of areas. Cause we have, between you and I, we have all kinds of things. We have all kinds of life experience. We've had things happen to us, good, bad, and ugly. And there are dads out there that have things happening to them, good, bad, and ugly, And so, we have things that we can share. We have, experiences we can share to encourage people. And so I think you're going to fit right in with that. That's roughly what the Awkward Dadcast is about. There's content about special needs kids, because I have some special needs kids. There's going to be content about whatever, parenting experiences that are out there. So, not that I've experienced it all, but I do have 8 kids. So, I mean,
yes,
there's a lot to it. So anyway, Brian, you're a dad. You want to tell about your kids? You're a single dad of 2 beautiful girls. You want to tell about them?
Yes, I do. So I have 2 beautiful daughters. Their names are Tatum and Eden. They are 12 and 10, and they are just sweet kids, growing like crazy. They don't slow down. And in addition to that, I'm dating this beautiful woman named Leah, and she has 3 kids of her own. And so
right.
I have luckily, and I'm super grateful that I've acquired 3 new kiddos that I can love and help and kind of watch them grow up as well. And our kids are best friends. And so, we can talk for a long time about parenting and kids and the ups and the downs. And yes, for sure.
Definitely. Well, let's do that. Let's
Awesome.
talk forever about that. So
let's do it.
But, oh, you guys hear that dog? Sorry.
I heard that dog. Whoa.
Yeah. So that sounded close to me. Maybe I got the mic too hot. It's like, oh. So, okay, I'm in a barn, but I feel like I'm kind of outside, right? I'm in a barn, but like, it just, you can hear the wind, you can hear the dogs, you can hear, I think that there's a couple of cats that maybe live in here sometimes, and tonight it's cold, so they're probably here. Sometimes I get kind of freaked out by the cats, but, so anyway, and there's a train that'll pass by here in probably 20 minutes, and you'll hear the train horn and stuff like that. So we're just keeping it real, Brian.
Absolutely.
But so no, I just want to talk about, something that I'm interested in, and I wanted to ask you, and I hope you don't get offended, but I wanted to find out kind of these days, because I know you've been on this journey for a little while. I want to find out how you identify, Brian, and what I mean by that is you've stopped eating meat. Are you a vegan? Are you a vegetarian? What the heck, man? How do you identify as?
That's hilarious. Yeah, I identify as I guess it'd be a vegetarian.
Okay.
So it's funny because I got on this kick last summer where I watched a couple of documentaries, and I was like, hey, I'm kind of into, some health stuff and nutrition stuff. And
right.
Even through COVID, I got like really into it, just trying to really take care of myself. And so I watched 2 documentaries, and I was really trying to swing like all the way and go vegan. Dude, that lasted like 25 seconds, because then I realized that you can't have cheese. And I was like, man, I'm fine with stopping, steak and chicken, and let's see how it goes, but I am not giving up the dairy. And so, I don't do meat, basically, is what it is. And I'll still eat eggs and cheese and sour cream and all that stuff. But so I identify as a pretty hardcore vegetarian.
I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get in trouble for that, aren't I?
Yeah, no, you're
sorry.
Good.
But but at this point, nobody listens to the podcast, so I'm not gonna get in trouble for it. But hopefully, we'll get some listeners. And no offense to anybody. I just try to be funny.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, whenever you told me that, Ryan, whenever you started talking about that, I was like, what? I mean, I could never do that. I'm just thinking that's crazy. And then you started telling me how you felt, and just like, the fact that you still had energy. I mean, like, you had kind of a shift in, like, you guys hear the train?
I hear it.
Yeah. You kind of had a shift in thinking about food altogether, right? I mean, just, like I guess maybe the American way is, I need to eat everything that's on my plate. We have big portions, all this stuff. But I mean, you've kind of changed the way that you even see all that, right? And I mean, you've talked to me sometimes and say, oh yeah, I totally skipped, breakfast or lunch or whatever. And you're like, I feel fine. Like, you had energy, and maybe you like worked out and you're like, oh yeah, I didn't eat lunch. I'm fine. So again, I was kind of blown away by that, but that's true, right?
So it's interesting, man. So Leah and I both did this. She jumped on board with me. We watched these documentaries. I think it's funny. I just happened upon one of the documentaries. Like, when I work out, I try to like put my brain somewhere else where I'm not having to think about the workout. And so I'll put on like shows or whatever. So I put on a document, and I think it was called Game Changers, if I remember right. And as I was watching, I was like, man, I've got to watch this with Leah. And so we watched it, a few days later, and we both were just kind of the idea of, hey, let's just try this thing out. And so what I was hearing in this documentary were these athletes that they were comparing athletes that are just all American diet versus athletes who are really, really focused in on, they were super vegan. So we didn't go that extreme, but they were, the whole thing, that the science behind it that I appreciated was they were doing blood testing from both camps before and after workouts, and then before and after meals. So they would take, the all-American diet, and he'd have a burrito with beef or chicken or steak or whatever, and just load it up with everything. And then the other guy would do a burrito with avocado and beans and, lettuce. And it was just a lot lighter. Well, when they tested the blood after the workout, the people that had eaten the meat, their blood was real murky, and you could see the fat from the meat was actually in their plasma.
Wow. The
people that only got fat from the avocado, their plasma was completely clear. You could see straight through it. And so I thought, okay, well, I think that's pretty awesome. Let's just try that out. And my thing was, I was like, surely I can't stick with this. I love steak. I love chicken. I love burgers. And dude, I kid you not, within, I don't know, Leah could confirm this more than I could, but I would say within 4 to 5 weeks, I was going, I'm good. Like, I do not miss meat. And I would have never thought I would have gotten there. And here was the case in point, and to wrap that part up, when I was sitting at my grandma's house at Thanksgiving, I had a piece of turkey, like a slice of turkey at Thanksgiving, and I ate it, and I thought, that doesn't even taste good. I didn't miss it, and I'm good to go. So it's crazy, man. Yeah. Complete life change, in that, as far as like nutrition and stuff. So I don't miss it. The joke is, though, that, Leah she was already a pretty picky eater already. Well, then you get rid of meat.
Oh man. Yeah.
Like, so now our weekly rotation, like if we go eat somewhere, it's Chipotle, or there's a grocery store here that we'll eat at, Market Street, and then it's pretty Chipotle. Like, we really need to buy stock in Chipotle, like really.
Right. Well, I mean, it makes sense. Once you find a place that you can eat at, you're like, okay, well, it's just kind of the go-to thing, right? I mean, it's like, well, why would we not eat there? Man, that's crazy. That's a very interesting
crazy
story. Very, very, I mean, like you said, total life change. That's cool. So
totally.
what I want to know is who is the family member at Thanksgiving that made that turkey who you just offended because you said it didn't even taste good? I mean, are you worried about that, Brian?
I know. I don't know if my Nani is going to watch this. Nani, I love you so much. Everything else you made was like so satisfying. Yep, it was just the turkey. I just don't miss it.
Nani, he's not thinking straight, Nani. It's okay. He just cut him some slack. You love him. No, I'm just joking.
That's right.
That's amazing. And I mean, it takes some guts to do that, I guess people see a documentary and their eyes are open to things, but like you said, the whole blood test thing, that sounds like it's very convincing. And I mean, you're just looking at the results. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, if I want to just like put one more little part on it. So
go for it.
My biggest thing was, and even people would ask me like, well, how are you like getting your energy? How are you getting your protein? And what it comes down to is there's protein in a lot of stuff.
Right.
It's just the American way is not really promoted that way. Like even at Chipotle, when I'm ordering, they'll say, what about your protein? And I'm like, well, I have spinach and I have other things that I'm getting some protein from already in my bowl or whatever. And so I think it's just kind of you just think of meat as protein, which I've always thought that, but
they mean meat, right? Like when they're saying they mean meat, right? Yeah.
They mean meat. And I've just realized, I mean, there are so many other ways to get it through. I even do like plant-based protein drinks that taste incredible. It's like drinking a chocolate shake.
Wow.
and I'll do those. But my energy levels, like, as high as I ever have known them to be.
Wow.
And so when I work out, I feel amazing. I sleep really good, and I don't feel sick. I mean, I definitely lost weight, but I was losing fat. I wasn't losing just weight to lose weight. I was losing fat. So, I've like plateaued, and I don't know. I feel better than I did. I mean, I'm almost 40, and I feel better than I did when I was in my 20s, like guaranteed.
Wow.
Guaranteed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's saying a lot right there. I mean, that's definitely saying something. Wow. That's awesome, dude. I have not made that kind of change. So, I was very, very interested to hear you talk about it. So, yeah, cool.
Awesome. Thanks.
Very, very cool. So, me getting in just other life stuff that's going on. We haven't really touched on a whole lot of parenting stuff, but this is part of being a dad too. I myself am over 40. And I'm feeling it now because I'm hobbling around. I feel very handicapped because I broke my leg. New Year's Eve, the way that I was going to ring in the new year, I decided to break my leg. No, I had an accident. Actually, right out the door here in this barn, I was up and down out of the barn, unloading my truck, and I stepped in a hole.
Oh.
And I broke my leg, Brian. I broke my fibula, and it could have been a lot worse. Like, it could have been the tibia, which would have been a lot bigger of a thing. But it's definitely, man, it's been a wild ride. So a very, very humbling experience. I mean, I'm in a boot, which, I mean, seems like it's a lot more comfortable than a cast maybe. But, I mean, I don't even know if they do a cast anymore. I see a lot of people with boots on. But a boot and crutches, and, man, it's like, more than like painful or whatever, it's just super inconvenient. Just trying to get stuff in here, just trying to get set up for the podcast tonight. I was like, man, I should have started like an hour ago because it's just super. I'm trying to walk on crutches and like carry stuff,
Right.
I've got a backpack and I was using that too, but just super inconvenient. But yeah. So I mean, as you know, Brian, I mean, I've been, using the motorized shopping carts whenever I go to, whenever I go places, and I mean, it's just, I mean, wow, I've never used one of those, and let me tell you what, it is super humbling. I don't know if you've ever had to use one, but
never.
I mean, it's like, wow. And one time I went to the Home Depot because I'm a builder, Brian. And so, I mean, there are times when I have to go buy stuff. I mean, I just have to, it's hard for me to stop, I just have to go. And so there was a time that I went to the Home Depot and I walk in looking for one of those carts. Like I'm in the motorized cart, area, and there's not one around anywhere. And so, somebody had to go get me a cart. So it was just even that much more, humbling. They had to go find one and make sure it was charged up and bring it to me. And
definitely.
And I will confess, I was texting and driving in the store because they go so slow. I'm like, well, let me check my texts here.
You were poloing and driving, bro.
That's true. I was. Yeah, Marco Polo. So if you out there don't know what Marco Polo is, well, what a cool app. Brian and I keep up on Marco Polo. Basically like a video chat app, but it's not real time.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every day. Okay, so you turned me on to Marco Polo 3 years ago? A couple years ago?
Dude, I think it's almost been 4 years, dude.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you sent me this little, Marco Polo, I don't know what it was, like a text through Marco Polo. And I'm like, what is this? And we had not kept up. I mean, we would touch base just every once in a while, right? I mean, we played in the band together for a few years, but then, after that, my family moved back to East Texas. We didn't keep up, because it's just, we're busy, right? Life is busy.
Right.
And you sent me this Marco Polo thing, and I was like, I didn't see it, me being able to really do it. I was like, I don't know what this is. I'm like, I'm probably not going to have time for this. Yeah. And
right.
now, and soon after it was like every day. So It's a pretty cool app. So, we're not sponsored or anything. They're not sponsored.
I wish we were.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
They want to throw some money our way.
Come on, bring it on.
Bring it on.
Yeah, they definitely a very, very cool app. So we get to keep up daily. So that's been cool. That's how this happened, Brian. That's how I was like, Brian, I need to have you on we need to do a podcast, man. So,
that's so
that's
cool.
very, very cool. So anyway,
I love it.
I'm just sorry. The rabbit trails. That's what it's
Hey,
me, man.
question, John.
Go for it.
Okay, so talk about, I know you said you broke your leg. Talk about your recovery process. How long is it going to be? When do you think you'll kind of be back, at least hobbling around a little bit better?
Oh man. So, it's funny, Brian, and this is so me. I'm not the guy who thinks about details too much. I mean, certain details.
Right.
And so when I went to the orthopedic doctor and saw him, and he looked at the X-ray and said, whatever he said, like, stay off of it. Here's a boot, walk on crutches. He didn't tell me, hey, it'll be six weeks, it'll be 2 months. He didn't give me that kind of time frame, and I didn't think to ask. So, I mean,
you have no idea.
Normally, so that's the number one thing that people ask me. Well, how long is it going to be? And I'm like, I don't know. How stupid is that, right? The doctor told me to come back in 2 weeks, which will be on Monday.
Okay.
In just a few days. So they'll do it. So, I mean, I knew that was coming up, but he'll take an X-ray and check it out. But I feel like it's going to be fairly short. Okay. So it's been since the 1st of July, not the 1st of July, the 1st of January. Actually it happened in 2021. So I was saying, at least, this terrible thing didn't happen to me in 2022 and start off the year like that. It was technically happened about 11:45 at night on the 31st. But anyway, so I have noticed a change in the way it feels in just the past week. It just hurts less. Not every little movement hurts it, and I can put a little bit of pressure on it, and it doesn't hurt. So I feel like some things are happening, and I guess I'll let you know next time what he says.
Yeah. Let me know, man. So it's funny from my perspective. You poloed. We have our friend Matt. He has the Marco Polo with us, and John poloed us at, dude, I think it was like 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. You were driving yourself. Yeah, you were driving yourself to the ER because Laney is not having to stay home with all the kids, and you're driving to the ER, and then you poloed us again, and I think it was like 5:30, and you were leaving with the cast. Yes. Oh, and it was like Happy New Year. Yeah.
So it was about midnight whenever I drove myself, and yes, I forgot about that. I did polo you guys.
Oh man, and
because I'm thinking I've got to share this moment. You're
like, guys, you're not going to believe how I'm bringing in the new year. Oh,
yeah. So thankfully, it's my left foot. So I can drive. I don't drive a standard vehicle. So I mean, not many people do, but so I could drive. Right. And like you said, my wife had to stay home with all the kids, right? There was, 8 kids there. So I was like, well, I can drive. So here we go.
Right. Here we go.
Yeah. And of course, the whole thing about the ER, the emergency room wasn't that busy, but it's still like the wait, man.
Oh, I know.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Well, dude, what I've heard is if it's not something like with your head, like if it's not a head injury, you are, you're not high priority. Even with a broken leg, like that's what's crazy to me.
Gotta love that.
But I don't know. I don't know how all that stuff works, so I'm not one to judge it. I just think it's the long wait is very difficult. So.
Yeah. I think I made him mad because whenever I came in, I was just chatting with the nurse, and I said, wow, y'all aren't very, you guys aren't very busy tonight. I just kind of figured New Year's Eve you'd be busier, and she like shushed me. Oh, don't say that. She's like knocking on wood. Don't say that, because we'll get really.
Don't jinx it.
So, yeah. And I was like, oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah. So.
Should have said sorry. My leg's broken. I'm just trying to, bring some humor into the evening.
I'm trying to talk about. I'm trying to get my mind off this thing.
Yes, exactly.
But, it was fine. But so, they basically. And they didn't even tell me a whole lot. They're like, well, we'll get you scheduled or they told me to get scheduled with an orthopedic doctor.
Right. You have to do all the work.
like on Monday, because it was the holidays, right? There was I wasn't going to be able to see anybody, but So anyway, but I feel like it's getting a little bit better. Like I don't know. I kind of hit a little bit of I don't know, maybe like a turning point this week. I'm like, okay, it's getting better.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Oh man, it's just so, and so the other, obviously part of the things that we want to talk about on this podcast, I've talked about my son Jude on previous episodes, but part of that is the fact that I'm Jude's primary caregiver. My oldest son, he has severe autism, and Brian, I know that you know this. I'm just kind of
right. Oh no, this is good. People need to know.
Sorry, I'm sorry to mansplain that to you. What I'm doing right now. But no, Jude, so I'm Jude's primary caregiver because Jude he's kind of he's a lot to take care of physically. And so the moment that I broke my leg, I was lying there because I went down, I heard a snap and I went down and I thought to myself, oh no, how can I take care of Jude? Who's going to take care of Jude?
Right.
And so, I mean, not to bring things heavy, Brian, but there are people dealing with this out there. So the next day, like on the 1st, we had some people come and help my wife with Jude, and it just became apparent that he wasn't going to be able to, we weren't going to be able to take care of him, and so we had talked about the possibility of him going to like a residential, I don't know if you call it a treatment facility, but like a residential placement somewhere that he can live where people are trained to take care of people like him. And so we had been talking about that for a while, but in that moment that I broke my leg, I just thought, oh man, what's going to happen? And so, we didn't quite make it 24 hours with him before, we had to take him somewhere. So unfortunately that event, as it's inconvenient for me, there's a lot more to it than the results are. Jude can't be with us right now, and so but anyway, so he's doing good. He's doing good there. He's we get to talk to him every night. We get to call and we've been able to visit him once, and so anyway, so that's one of those things, Brian, that really we didn't quite realize how thin the ice was, so to speak, that we were walking on with like Jude's care, and really it's like I was the last, I don't know what you want to say, the last piece of the puzzle. That's not the right way to say this. Anyway, I was the only person, like me being healthy was the only thing keeping Jude at home.
Right.
And again, that's kind of heavy, but the people who have, watched the previous episodes would probably be thinking, what's up with Jude? So,
right.
Anyway, but, so that's one of those things where, that's a heavy thing, just sticking with us. And we're trusting the Lord just with every day, it's hard but you know what? God's good, man. And even through all of the pain and the difference of life, because just like my life, just things changed big time,
right.
I'm just relying on the Lord, and he's keeping us steady. He's keeping us going day by day. And so anyway, I wanted to share about that. So yeah, I don't know where to segue from there, but it has opened our eyes to the fact that, there are actually quite a few people that we've talked to, or that have kind of come out because we've shared about this out on social media. So it's been kind of surprising the number of people that have come forward and said, my brother or my nephew or, my son, has had to live in a place, and basically trying to tell us, don't feel bad for
right.
having to do what's best for him and what's best for your family. So, really it's been believers, the people of God, the body of Christ has really encouraged us. So God's encouraged us through those people because there's a lot of guilt, you know what I mean? We had a lot of guilt there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And just surely we can take care of him. Surely we can figure it out, but, it's one of those things where when I broke my leg, we knew that couldn't happen. So that's another part of this, Brian. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking too, man, like, I know I would speak on behalf of anybody that hears this and knows this. And obviously I've been walking with you through this whole thing. And But I know that you guys were, I hope you don't mind me talking, that you guys were affirmed by some folks just saying, you guys have done a really great job. You've done everything you can. You've really, really gone a lot longer than even some other families who may be dealing with the same stuff. And so just as an encouragement to you, from me on the outside looking in, I mean, I saw you on multiple instances where you had Jude with you and y'all are taking a walk outside and he's, just being himself. But on the other side of that is there are things that are just completely out of his control and out of your control. And there are so many other people in your life that you are also, accountable to and protective for. And it's not Jude's fault. It's not y'all's fault. It's just a product of what's happening in his brain. And I don't know, man, I just feel for you. It's heavy. It's so difficult. So I'm really, really sorry. And I'm sorry y'all are dealing with this, man.
I appreciate you a lot. Yeah. And I know how much you care about Jude and how much you care about my family. So that means a lot, man. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah. You're so welcome, man.
It's one of those things where I thought, man, it's always tempting to not turn things heavy, with a conversation, but one of the things that I've really just kept, wanting to do is to just not be afraid of taking things to the heavy place, because there are a lot of people out there dealing with that. There's a lot of people out there dealing with heavy stuff. And so, there were times whenever we were dealing with Jude and so, Jude gets aggressive and violent and he would be trying to physically harm me a lot when he would get upset. And there would be a lot of times I would think, this is like, nobody deals with this, right? Like this is crazy. Nobody deals with this, but that's not true. There are people out there. They're probably not, out there. I mean, there are people in the world dealing with this, but people like them, people like us, we didn't go into public. We didn't go, to the grocery store. We didn't go out in public places. So you may not see it, but there are people out there like that. So
there are a lot more than I'm sure you would even imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So trying to encourage those folks, that God does love them. God loves their child or their person in their life that is dealing with these issues. And so many times I wanted to ask why, during the product of autism in my son's life, I would just, be like, why, Lord, but it's not for us to know. So anyway, but yeah, so, Brian, what else should we talk about, man? I mean, I'm not very good at this. I'm not very good
okay. No, I've got a great, I know this answer because I talk to you all the time, but I think the listeners and watchers would love to know, John, you have ocho in Spanish, niñas, children. Talk through, and I know Lainey is a massive part of this, but just from like the dad side, just from your side, talk through what a day looks like with 8 kids. Wow. I would love to just kind of paint the picture. I know every day is different, but just a typical day, just kind of talk through it. And I want to know how at 11:17 p.m. are you like wide awake and talking right now? That's what I want to know. Yes.
Well, so first of all, without Lainey, none of this could have happened. I would have.
I want to give credit to Lainey.
Yeah, I want to give a lot of credit to Lainey. So, but okay, I'll answer the last part first. How at 11:17 am I doing this? This is something that I look forward to. Just something that I can do, that I enjoy. The kids are asleep. I'm not having to answer questions. I'm not having to change a diaper or grab somebody some Fruit Loops or whatever.
Right.
And so this is something that like I've been looking forward to. I'm like, hey, if it's 11 o'clock at night, whatever, I'm down. That's cool. One of the things that I've said on previous episodes is, I know it's late. Well, and whenever I've done Facebook Lives, like I'll say, it's late. I know it's late, but late's all I got. And because once the kids are down, that's which that could be a variable, right? When do the kids go down? That could be a variable. So late's all I got, man. What does a day look like? Wow. Well, so I mean, honestly, now a day like, so now that Jude is elsewhere, a day looks a lot different than it did for us. But honestly, my wife does so much, dude. She does so much that, I mean, if it were just me, like, I wouldn't be able to survive. Honestly, it would be just, I mean, we would be barely making it, maybe. But so, so the kids that go to school, we get up early, make lunches, try to lay out clothes. And yeah, that sounds a bit like, hey, why are you doing that for your kids? Well, I mean, the younger ones, right? So we have a couple in pre-K, and so, we lay out clothes. They have school uniforms, and so we make sure that they have clean uniforms and stuff like that. So they go to a Christian academy, and so it's not quite like public school. My oldest goes to public school. I'll talk about my oldest in a bit, but so they have certain days that are PE days, and then certain days that aren't. So it's like, is today a PE day? We got to get our PE shirt and shoes, So it's just a lot of gathering things up, checking off the boxes. Do we have lunches? Do we have PE shoes? Do we have all that? So there's that. Driving them to school, and so we also have two that are so we have a 3-year-old. I'm trying to remember how old they are. Sorry, bro. We have a 3-year-old at home, and then a 5-month-old at home. And so they don't go to school, obviously. So once we get the older kids to school, I go work. Lainey actually works. Like we have a partnership. We do. I guess it's really real estate, right? Our business is really real estate, but we're home builders or home flippers, and so we work together on that. But she stays home with the younger two, and I mean, she does so well taking care of the house, right? And so we're living with my mother-in-law right now. Yes, she is a saint. She lets us with our 8 kids live with her because we're in the middle of building a house that will accommodate us all, right? So my mother-in-law's there, and she helps tremendously too. I mean, honestly, like it's been such a huge blessing. But I mean, it's basically what I guess you do, with your kids every day. But it's just scaled up, right?
Right.
There's just more mouths to feed. There are more questions, spanning different grades. Hey, Daddy, what about this? Mama, what about this? Hey, would you help me with my homework? And there's homework ranging from color this to now our oldest has, there's geometry, there's all that good stuff. So,
oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So our oldest, we just adopted, a girl from Bulgaria and, she's been with us for a little over a month now. And so so it's like all of a sudden, bam, we have a high schooler, we have a teenager. And so first of all, she's trying to learn English. And let me tell you what, the kids that are here who don't speak English or English is their second language. I mean, that's a tall order, man. Because at least in Texas public school, they just have a normal schedule, right? Like, and everything's in English, but they have a couple of periods, maybe a couple during the day where they will like focus on learning English. So, I mean, she's in geometry, she's in a culinary class, she's in a science class, and they're just teaching in English, and she's doing pretty darn good with keeping up. Like, she was upset today because she thought she made what she thought was a low grade on something, and it was like a grammar worksheet or like a little quiz, and I'm like, whoa, that's actually like a pretty darn high grade. You don't speak English. I mean, like, she speaks a little bit, but she had written these sentences. She was trying to differentiate between all the whatever grammar stuff. And I'm like, that's actually very impressive. She was upset about it, but anyway, so yeah, I mean, a day it's just, getting kids to school, trying to get some work done, getting kids home from school, and
well, and it's crazy. I'm sure this is exponential for you, but it's crazy. Like, and this is just with my two and then helping out with Leah's three. So kind of juggling 5 kids, but how fast the day goes. Like, I drop them off at school, at 7:45. And then before I know it, I'm looking at the clock and it's 3:10 and I'm like, I just dropped them off. Like, it's the most bizarre thing.
Right.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we actually homeschooled. I say we, my wife did all the heavy lifting on that, but we were a homeschool family up until, not that long ago, actually. Maybe has it even been 6 months yet? But so Jude, our oldest, he was always in public school. I say always. He was mostly in public school. She tried to homeschool him, and it was just, he was just not sticking around. He was like trying to, run off. So, but the others have been homeschooled, and so it was quite the adjustment this year. Starting, in that school routine, getting him started.
Yeah.
In school, even though so it's a Christian academy that most of them go to, but still, So, I mean, like, life has changed for us big time. Just like the way that a day looks has changed because Lainey had all the kids at home. She was trying to deal with them, I don't know how she did that for as long as she did. I mean, I would have lost my mind, but she did really, 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 really well at it. And then, with me breaking my leg, and then Jude just not being here right now. And then the kids changing from homeschool to, not a homeschool, man, life has changed drastically. So we're still trying to get used to our day of our daily, routine. So,
totally.
Anyway,
totally.
But yes, the time flies, bro. The time flies.
It does. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah, Brian, what else, man? What else? You had a good question there. Should I ask you a question? Let me see. Oh, hey, you know what? So there's a pet peeve of mine, Brian. Do you ever have any pet peeves? Do you have something that you just...
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
Yes.
I just want to let the people know out there that may share this pet peeve that now that I'm a slow walker, that I'm doing my part in this. But Brian, whenever you're going to like a big box store with like a big parking lot, right? So right up next to the store where people drive past, right? There's a little crosswalks. I mean, people walk from the parking lot, into the store, right?
Right.
If you've ever had to stop and wait on people to walk by, there are some people who will take like the longest route. Like they'll go on a diagonal, and they're probably maybe they're a slow walker, and so they'll just take forever to get across, right? I've just always been like, just walk to a place where you can just go straight across. Just take the shortest path, right? That's always been a big pet peeve of mine. I'm like, just walk straight across. It takes less time. So I wanted people to know out there that now that I'm like hobbling along, trying to get across the thing, that I'm doing my part in that. Anybody else who shares that pet peeve, that I'm doing my part and I'm going to the little crosswalk and I'm going straight across. So
that a boy, John.
I mean, have you ever noticed that, Brian? Is that a thing for you, or are you just you're a more grace-filled person, probably?
No, I am not. Unfortunately, again, Leah can be the fact checker. She can attest to all of this, dude. I get where I get probably the most frustrated in a parking lot. It's not like when people are backing out and pulling in. That's that stuff I understand. People can't see if cars are coming. That stuff's fine. What kills me is exactly what you're saying, but even to a greater extent when you are trying to find a parking spot, like you're going down like the parking aisle or whatever,
right?
And someone is walking down the middle of the parking aisle,
and
it's like they have no idea that there's a car behind them, so they're either on their phone,
right,
or they hear you and they literally do not care. Okay. But that is where I'm just like white knuckling because I'm so frustrated. But you just what do you do? I'm not going to honk at them. So
right, yeah. Don't be the guy that honks, right? But dude, yes, you're exactly right. okay, I mean, you're in a
Yeah.
parking lot. How do you not know that a car's behind you? I mean, you have to like
know.
expect it, right? Most
Well,
people,
and I think of like my parents taught me to like, look both ways before you cross the street. Like I've
right.
taken that, believe it or not, into adulthood. And I'm thinking
Wow.
if I'm in the parking lot, I want to walk, closer to the side. And then I'm
Yeah.
also looking for, reverse lights and just trying to be aware
Yes, exactly.
as much as possible.
That's hilarious. Yeah, some people don't, man.
Yeah.
Some people don't, and whatever, I mean, hey, yeah, it's all part of it, I guess. But yeah, I mean, just I feel like I'm so much more aware. Like now that I've broken my leg, I've kind of gotten a little bit spooked about getting hurt, But that coupled with just me being slow, trying to get anywhere, I feel like I've become more aware, like in parking lots or whatever, of cars pulling out or whatever. I just kind of become hyper aware of that, and so I don't know if that's just
I
me
think
or what.
No, I think a big part of that is parental too, because I'm probably not as aware when I don't have the kids with me, but
Right.
when any semblance of the 5 kids are with me, it is crazy how like it's like this sonar goes off,
Yeah.
and I'm just kind of like, I don't know, my peripheral vision changes, and I'm
Yeah.
looking, front, side to side, and behind, just making sure. Like, I mean, they're 13, 12, 11, 10, and 9.
Yeah.
And all of them have a lot less experience in, parking lots or traffic than I do. So
Right.
it's my full responsibility, to be aware. So that's probably part of it too, is I'm like, some of these people walking down the middle of the aisle may have zero, idea of what it's like, looking out for a kid or whatever. And that's
Yeah.
maybe why they do it. I have no idea, but
A kid or 5 kids or whatever you.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, you're right,
Exactly.
man. And that does change. Like with my crew, that definitely changes with who I've got with me, right?
Right.
Because I mean, there's so many different personalities in the group, and some of
Yep.
the kids are just like flitting along like nothing. They have no care in the world, and then there's some that are like watching.
Right.
So yeah, definitely. Yeah, I get that
Yeah.
totally, man. Yeah, good for you, man.
That's
You're a responsible parent. Good for you. Man.
I try, and I mean, I'm sure I fail on plenty of other things, but that's one where in parking lots, man, I don't know what it is. And I always tell this to Leah. It's always so funny. I'm like, when I like with just Tatum and Eden, with just my 2, it's easy to count to 2. Well, once you get
Right.
past 2, I have never counted to 5 so many times in my life.
Right.
Like we went to
head count.
Disney World. Oh yeah, we went to Disney World last year, and we've gone to SeaWorld. We've done other things, and it's crazy how, I mean, I enjoy the time, but I'm more focused on just making sure I can see everybody.
Right.
And so it's, I mean, again, I don't want to say I don't enjoy it, because I really do, but I'm so focused on, I got to
Yeah.
make sure my crew's all together, So
Yeah, it's totally different. Yeah, way different.
it is.
And,
It is.
And we haven't done any of those kind of like normal family vacation things, just basically because of Jude, because of my oldest,
Right,
my boy
right.
with autism, because it just trying to keep up with him would just be like probably impossible. So
Sure.
so we haven't done a whole lot of that, but we did go to Arkansas one time with him, and we all stayed in a cabin with my in-laws and some some more in-laws, and so yeah, I mean, just that, like, there were no big rides, no big crowds that they could get lost in or whatever, like no stores that they could wander off in. But even that, I was hyper focused about where the kids, and
yeah.
I mean, you start to realize that family vacations, that you just enjoyed as a kid, your parents were those hyper vigilant people who probably weren't having the best time, right? Like,
Totally.
You're
Yeah.
like, okay, they were doing that. They were doing that for the kids, right?
Yeah,
so, you get a
absolutely.
new respect. That's awesome.
Yeah. Different perspective for sure.
You know what? My perspective, I've gained a new perspective. I guess for people that are that are impaired in some way. Is handicap is that still a politically correct word? Is that still a polite word to say? Or I don't know what.
Yeah. Well,
Somebody in
I
a
don't
wheelchair.
know. I
somebody.
think it's okay. Yeah.
Gosh, dude, I don't want to get in trouble, but yeah, somebody confined to a wheelchair or somebody that has some kind of physical impairment like that. Like, I've just started to think about, I mean, because I'm sort of in that camp, with my leg. Like there have been times when, I've held off going to the restroom. I've held off on things because they're so inconvenient, right? And like I found myself at times going, oh man, like I really need to use the restroom right now because I've been holding it, right? Because I can't just pull off into a store really quick and run in, So
Right.
it just made me think people do that probably, like somebody who's confined to a wheelchair, like it's super inconvenient to be out and about and go, yeah, I think I'm gonna pull into this gas station and run to the restroom, right?
Right. It's a totally different world, man.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. I mean, I can walk and I can get around, but still, it's so inconvenient. So that's crazy. I mean, I would wonder if, I mean, I don't have any advice for anybody. It just made me think. And it's always good, I think, to try to put yourself into somebody else's shoes and to try to, empathize with people, right? So I've been trying to do that.
Right. No, I think
forced. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, same with you, just with changing your lifestyle with eating and all that. It's a mindset, right? It's putting yourself into a different frame of mind. And which I'm not very good at doing that, willingly. So it probably would take me breaking my leg to put me in that mindset, thinking about people, who are confined to a wheelchair or something like that. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, that anybody out there who's watching, listening, that's confined to a wheelchair. I mean, I just got a little bit of a glimpse of the inconvenience of your life. I mean, it can't even compare, but still. So
well,
God,
and
God bless you.
Yeah, I would piggyback and say that people who are, impaired physically in any way, that may be the better way to say it, John. I don't know.
Probably so.
That you got to think even, I mean, this as a builder, but even in design and in homes and businesses, they're not designed for an physically impaired person first. They're just not.
Right.
It's like all of that is an afterthought. I think of, I live in Lubbock, Texas, and I think of how often I drive down a main road and you look at, the blocks of streets and neighborhoods, and none of the curbs or a lot of the curbs are not wheelchair accessible. So I think, my goodness,
Wow.
If someone is on crutches or on a wheelchair, that they have to go a block the other way just so they can get up on the sidewalk. I mean,
Wow.
I think those are things that are changing, but think of how that's such an afterthought. And so I love how your perspective is I know you're not, I know this isn't lifelong for you, but right now you're getting a glimpse of, man, someone who has to deal with this, like a debilitating injury or something that's lifelong. Their entire life is not the design of life is not fit for them at all.
Right.
And so they are the ones that have to adapt, and able-bodied people just walk into the store and walk out of the store.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you're
very
so right
good
about that. You're spot on about that, man, because I mean, just trying to get around in the house, it is a chore, and I mean, kids leave stuff on the floor. They, there's maybe, a chair is kind of pushed back, where it's kind of blocking the way, and I'm trying to get through with my crutches, and yeah, it's a total game changer, and a normal house is not set up for that. I mean, trying to take a shower, Brian, it's like, so first of all, whenever I had the temporary cast from the ER, had that for about 2 weeks, or maybe 10 days. Anyway, they told me at the ER to not get it wet. I'm like, okay, interesting. And they're like, yeah, just wrap it in plastic, like wrap it, in a bag or whatever, whenever you want to take a shower. I'm like, okay, cool. It's way easier said than done, man. For one, just getting it where you feel like it's like watertight, and then trying to use tape that's not going to peel your skin off of your leg, and then but standing on one foot in the shower. I mean, wow, it is. It's been a tough thing, man.
I bet it has.
It feels pretty dangerous, and it's just not. It's not easy, and I've been thinking, man, I need one of those one of those shower chairs.
Right.
Oh man, no way. I'm just like, oh, I'm not that decrepit yet, am I? But I mean, it's just the stuff that's like practical. You got to think about. So
I know.
anyway,
Crazy, man.
crazy stuff. So anyway, all right, enough about me and my handicap, Brian. I'm sorry. I just
No, that's
it's
fine. It's a talking point, man.
and it's my life right now, so it's definitely fresh on my mind. So anyway,
Yes.
you're in real estate, Brian. You wanna tell us how you got into real estate?
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm just
absolutely.
throwing that on you.
So no, I love talking about it. I was in the food business from 2006, 2006 until 2011 or so. And I was just in food sales, and I worked with some great people. I learned a lot, but that just wasn't my cup of tea at all. And so I'm a musician, and I kind of appreciate the arts and all
Right.
those things. So I really wanted to branch into entrepreneurship. Is really not really knowing how that even worked, but
Right.
I kind of dabbled in a few different things and figured out, okay, I can figure out how to make an income on my own and support my kids and support my living and all those things. And
Right.
then just kind of by chance, I had talked to a few people who had done real estate and
Okay.
or basically specifically being a realtor, and
Right.
a few people had told me, hey, you've got the personality for it, like this is something
Totally.
you should really look into. And I would have never thought this is something I would have ever wanted to pursue. And
Really.
I took some online classes, and
Wow.
by I think October of 2015 is when I started, and I've never looked back. I love real estate. I love helping people buy and sell homes, and now Leah and I are we manage Airbnbs, and so that's kind of like an
Nice.
additional thing in real estate. And then of course I've talked with you so much about the building side and the flipping side, and I think
Yeah.
that's a side I want to eventually get into. But I work at a brokerage called Taylor Reed Realty,
Nice.
and
Nice.
Lindsay and Stuart Bartley are the owners, and Lindsay's the broker. And when I got into real estate, Lindsay was the very first realtor that I joined her team and worked with her for 2.5 years.
Right. Okay.
And man, she's awesome. One of the top realtors, around West Texas, like by far. And
Wow.
it's kind of cool. Like I went on my own for a couple years, and then everything just came back full circle. She started her own brokerage. And so now I'm back with her brokerage and back on
Yeah.
her, in her group. And I'm not on her team. I'm still a solo agent,
Okay.
but it's awesome having her just, a phone call away. She's been doing this. Oh, I think since 2009. So she
Okay.
really
Yeah.
has another 6 years of experience,
Wow.
above what
Yeah.
I have. And so, man, I mean, it's an incredible opportunity. You really have to stick with it and be patient. But
Right.
once you're in it a few years, you start getting return clients and you start getting referrals. And I don't know, John, you and I could talk
Yeah.
about this all day, but it's such a fun job helping people with a really, really important decision, which seems very
Totally.
daunting, but it's like an honor to be able to do that. So I love it, man.
That's great. You definitely
And
have the
now
personality for it.
yeah, so now
Yeah.
my sweet, amazing girlfriend is my full on sidekick.
That's amazing.
She came on with me in August,
Okay.
and it's awesome because she was kind of like from the back end. She was working already managing Airbnbs, and so
Okay.
she kind of had a whole different perspective of. She's more like the hospitality side of real estate,
Nice.
but she's extremely organized and structured, and I am not at all. And so it was so
Me
crazy.
either.
Like, oh man, we read these books together, and or this book together, kind of learning like how to define the roles within the organization. And,
Okay.
I'm sitting
Wow.
here reading like what my role, kind of already should have been. And I'm going, oh man, this is
I'm
not
not doing
good.
it.
So
That's
I
hilarious.
really, and again, we have nowhere arrived to like being super fluid yet. But what has been awesome is, when just these last couple of weeks have been crazy, and we've been setting up these new Airbnbs, and so that's kind of been our whole focus has really gone to that. But when we
Yeah.
are in our our real estate game as far as helping clients, it is so amazing watching her. Like you know, I'm not someone who trains. I'm not someone who really understood how to be a quote unquote boss or a leader.
Yeah.
And she has taken it on herself to go, hey, I'm just going to learn about real estate, because when I was a solo agent before I had anybody working with me, I would contract out these contract teams that they were awesome, and they would handle my contracts, but I never saw what was happening.
Right.
And so I bring Leah in, and I'm like, oh, so I think we need to do this, this, and this. And she
but
has
you don't
gotten,
know, really.
I know. And she has gotten every single deal since she came on to the closing table at the closing date.
No
and
way.
I'm just like, I'm so impressed and amazed by that. And so
that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
I am so pumped about just what that looks like in the future. And, we'd love to grow our team out more and eventually bring on other folks, other agents, and just see how big, we can grow the brand. So it's pretty awesome.
Dude, that's amazing, man. Well, you're
awesome.
saying like, we're not super fluid yet. I mean, really, it's not like y'all were, it's only been since August, right? And then she's just like, she's learning all this kind of on her own and just from the ground up. So that's pretty impressive, man. Pretty impressive.
Oh, it is. Oh, and the reason I have to preface our follow up by saying the reason it's not fluid is because of this scatterbrain. Like it's crazy. And John, you know me so well. I think it's a drummer brain. Like I can put 5 drums in front of me and 4 cymbals and a kick pedal and a hi. I can do all these things independently of each other, but I can't keep a file organized.
Right.
So I remember when I met with Lindsay, whenever I was about to bring Leah on, and I just kind of wanted some advice on, how do I do this the right way? And I remember Lindsay like vividly saying, it's not really about how do you do it the right way. It's just the fact that you bringing Leah on is a really good decision for you. And I thought, because she knew Leah, like we had lunch with Lindsay one time. And so she really got to know Leah kind of just, personally, but also kind of as a work ethic and like her personality. And so Lindsay just knew, like, you guys, it's very opposite in the ways we work, but it really, really fits together perfectly. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm just, it makes it that much more fun because she has seen me from the outside really enjoy what I do, but now the fact that she gets to enjoy that with me is even better. So,
well, and make what you do better. Like make you better in the process of what you do. That's incredible, dude.
100%.
Man, 100%. Yeah, that the whole self-starter thing. Okay, so I'm talking about this stuff, not really being a self-starter, not really being somebody who's very organized, and kind of the guy in the team that knows less, about it all too. Because my wife, she is like rocking it, but that whole self-starter thing, right? That's kind of what it's all about, right? We're talking about personality, and for a realtor, like that's a big thing, being a people person, whatever. But the whole self-start thing. Like you could just stop, putting out marketing. You could just, you could like just not try, and things would just dry up, right? You gotta generate this stuff, right?
You do. You have to stay out there.
And I'm sure with a brokerage, you can, work it and maybe get deals in some, brokerages or whatever. But just the whole self-starter thing, like the entrepreneur mindset is all about being a self-starter. So, dude, I'm sure she's going to just keep on just skyrocketing in what she's doing, man. So good for you.
She will, man. And I like what you just said about the self-starter thing, because and now it's been a decade since I've kind of been solely responsible for my own income, and it's I'm not getting, consistent checks or whatever. But what I've learned is it's all about, your why. It's all about your motivation. My why are my people, right? I have people that I have to take care of. I have 2 girls in this house that I have to raise and I have to protect and keep a roof over their head and keep them fed. And then I have, Leah and her kids that I love, that I get to support as well. And that's my motivation, is to be able to go, okay, like, well, if I decide that I just want to, be lazy for a month, there's gonna be repercussions for that,
Right.
2 or 3 months later. And so to just kind of consistently keep things out there. And I mean, personally, like we're going through a crazy month, but like the Lord continues to bless what's happening. And I feel like that is all him, and he's sustaining us. But I also don't have too much on my plate where I can't focus on the things that are more important, in my personal life. And so, it's a very, I feel like someone told me one time, like I think I had made the comment about, needing to balance out life. And this is when I was doing like some network marketing stuff. And I remember someone telling me, they were basically saying, life is not balanced. Like life is always counterbalancing. Like that's what it is, you're never going to find a balance there. Sometimes there's going to be things that weigh a lot more and your focus goes there. And then when those things start to wane, then you can focus back on other things. There's never going to be like this, delicate balance of, different facets of life. You just kind of have to focus on what's most important at the time. And again, being a man of faith, like just really knowing the Lord will sustain us, whatever that means. It could be a blessing of deals. It could be that we get some help from something else. It could be that our bills were lower this month. I mean, whatever it is. And so, anyway, that's just kind of awesome. A multifaceted vision of what happens with me. So
that's cool, man. Yeah. That's so cool. And it is, that's important to talk about, man. The whole balance thing. I mean, I understand it. Well, I mean, we need, I guess we need boundaries in certain parts of our lives, because I mean, there are people out there who are workaholics, and they'll let the family go to the wayside. And then there are people who are on the other side, so, but yeah, man, I mean, I think that and maybe it's an American thing, I don't know, but I think that we as people do want to have just this nice, neat little balance going on where, everything's kind of in its box, and I think this may be part of why a lot of people are scared to be entrepreneurs. I mean, sometimes I'm still scared to be an entrepreneur, but
sure. Oh, I am too. Totally.
Yeah. But like that steady paycheck, right? I mean, you can go to, you can go get a job and get that steady paycheck and not really worry about that, and that's a balanced thing where, that box is checked, right? Like I don't really have to, I mean, I have to still go to work, but like, I don't have to be there that, this amount of time and whatever. It's kind of balanced, right? But but a true entrepreneur who is like, look, I'm going to go make my own way, realizes that, I may be heavy on this project for 2 months and like, I may be just like big on that and not able to do this other thing. But once I get this step done, that's the thing that I've got to get done for the next step. And so, it's being okay with, I guess, like you said, counterbalancing things in life. So that's really cool. That's really cool. Very cool, man. So the why, I mean, that's so interesting. When you were talking about that, it reminded me kind of, sorry, I'm trying to, I got the old barn, floorboards here holding my chair back. I'm like trying to scoot up. I'm like, I can't scoot up. Oh, well, cause it's like hardwood, uneven. So I'm not, like the real estate type. I mean, like I'm like really, it's kind of unlikely that I'm in real estate, but our why. So my father-in-law, he found himself stepping out of a ministry job. He was in the he was in church ministry for years, decades.
Right.
But he knew how to build too. Like he was a carpenter, just, I mean, not by profession, but I mean he could just build a lot of things. He was really good at doing home repair and all that stuff. So he started to build homes to sell, like spec homes or whatever. And so he was like, man, I need to get John Laney into this. I need to get my, other kids into this if they want to. So he said, hey, look, you guys want to get into this, I think it'd be a good way. And we're like, okay, yeah, let's look at it, And so we did, but we realized that, with my oldest at the time, Jude, that a conventional job was not really working for me. Like it was getting to the point where, like, soon it wasn't going to work too well, because Jude loves routine, and he loves being in school. And so on breaks, Christmas break, Thanksgiving break, summer break, things were really hard with Jude because he wanted to be at school,
Right.
I mean, he could not comprehend, yeah, look, you're going to be off for summer for 2.5 months. He did not want to be, right? And so,
right.
Things, will get harder at home because, I would still be working during the summer, right? And I would work for a lot of the, little school holidays that he got off, he'd be home for, and I'd be at work. When things were getting really hard with him. So, we realized at some point, that would give us, if I stepped out of my full-time job and we started to build homes, that would give me so much more flexibility. I could do a lot of work from home, calls, emails, all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't have to be at a place, 8 to 5 or whatever every day. So our why was more of a, well, everybody's why can be like kind of a necessity, but ours was like, okay, this is coming. Jude's getting bigger and older and, stronger. And there's going to be one summer where this becomes kind of impossible. So like, I'm going to need the flexibility. So it was one of those things where that worked for us. Like that worked out for us. Whenever I finally did quit my job, I totally had flexibility. Now I'm not saying it wasn't hard because there were definitely hard times. There were times that I had to wait till he was asleep to like haul some, materials somewhere, things like that. That's kind of why I broke my leg. I was doing work after he was asleep over Christmas break, right?
Yep, that's right.
But so that why is, I think everybody has their why, and so you just made me think about mine when you were talking about yours. So
yeah, and that's good. That's important, man. We talk about that. That's one thing that in our brokerage, in my previous brokerage, I was at Keller Williams, and it was a very similar thing where, if you have a clear, and I'm not really that big flashy, like create a vision board and go cut all these, what do you want? Go get it. I'm not really that guy, but I am what's the purpose and why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And why am I basically foregoing a steady salaried job that at least I would know that I was getting money every 2 weeks or whatever. Why am I foregoing that to pursue something that's pretty much solely up to me and any client that wants to hire me?
Yeah.
If you can, with me, it's always been I call it R7, which the 6 other people in my life that I feel, responsible for and can care for. And, like financially and then just leading them and showing them like, this is that you can do this. If any of you kiddos want to grow up one day and not necessarily enter the corporate world, but enter a world where you can go do things and make things happen on your own, like I get to be an example of that for them.
That's amazing.
And so but that's why I do it. Because at the end of the day, man, if you're just chasing the flashy object, that stuff's going to get old really fast,
right?
Or there's going to always be a new flashy object. And so, it's all about, who I'm doing this for, I guess. So
that's awesome, man. That is so cool. That's so cool, Brian. And I think maybe a great place to wrap it up, buddy.
Yeah.
It's been great, man. We're definitely going to do this again.
Yes.
Right?
Can't
Hopefully
wait.
So.
Can't wait,
man. But yeah, right now we just did looks like an hour and almost 15 minutes. So, I think we're going to wrap it up, bro. It's been great hanging out with you, man. And
can we do knuckles? Hold on.
Oh, dude, can we do knuckles?
Right
oh, what? Whoa, ready? 1, 2, 3.
There we go.
Boom. Dang, that's amazing. So the answer is yes, we can. That's going to be our thing, Brian. The knuckles at the end.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Wow, I love it. I love it, bro. Okay, man. So I guess that we can kind of fade this puppy out here. And dude, it's been great.
It has been awesome, man.
We're going to
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm definitely going to have you on again because, and again and again and again, because first of all, I want to hear about all your little, swag up there behind you. So we'll definitely talk about that later. And, it's awesome, man. And wow, Okay, so yeah, we'll save that for later because I definitely want to talk about one piece of it. So, all right, Brian. Later on, bro. Have a good evening, and I'm signing out from the Awkward Dadcast.
All right, brother. See ya.